Welcome back to Big Thursday Night Modern at MagicCon Vienna. My name is Michael and joining me is Walter. So today we have the matchup BR Hull 1 against Lantern Control. BR Hull 1 is piloted by David Genta to the left and Lantern Control by Dominic Chupal to the right. So let's head straight to the deck. Let's get you started with Walter and Lantern Control.
Yeah, so Dominic Chupper is playing a pretty standard Lantern Control list. So what Lantern Control generally tries to do is have the card Lantern of Insight out, which means that you can see the top card of each player's library, and then you have cards that can manipulate the top card of your opponent's library, so you make them draw cards you want them to draw that don't do much against you, and you have support with discard spells and removers, and what really put this deck over the top was the printing of War of Invention in Kaladesh Block, which lets you grab artifacts. It's basically a code of calling for artifacts. And so this interesting thing about Dominic's list here is he's only playing 3 Ensnaring Bridges, which means with the 4 War of Invention is access to 7. But in many matchups, like in this matchup here against Red Black Hollow 1, having access to the bridge effect is huge because there's no main deck answers. Postboard things get differently. But the thing is that main board you have one less card that just wins you the game, so that might be an issue here. And with the worst, you also have some sweet one-offs. For example, one of Grafdigger's Cage, which might be very important in this matchup too. And then you have Witchbane Orb, which is not very relevant in this matchup. You could also get Engineered Explosives for 0, which probably also is not gonna do much. And yeah, basically that's it in terms of the land base. You've got your base in your main deck, your base 3 colors, your base bug, and you run a one-off Academy Ruins, which lets you get back things that die, which is important in postboard games when you have artifact destruction coming in from the red-black sideboard deck that might tag your bridges. You can get them back with Academy Ruins. So yeah, that's it for the Lantern Control side. Michi, what about that red-black Hollow one list here by David?
Well, as the deck is called, it's built around Hollow 1 and Graveyard Synergies. Hollow 1 is a 4/4 for 5 generic mana, but the good thing about it is it costs 2 less for each card you discarded or cycled this turn. So usually you play it for 0, and so that you can play it out really nicely, you play 4 Goblin Lore, which is sorcery for 1 generic and 1 red. You draw 4 cards. Then you have to discard 3 cards at random from your hand, and if no Hollow ones are being hit, you can cast them if you got them in your hand. Another nice card is Burning Inquiry. Both players draw 3 cards and then discard 3 cards at random. Really nice with Hollow 1 and the Graveyard Synergies. But you can also disrupt your opponent's hands with this. Really, really nice. And the other enabler is Faithless Looting, which is 1 red, like Burning Inquiry. You draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards, and it has Flashback for 2 generic and 1 red. And of course, the Graveyard Synergies are Bloodghast. It's a 2/1, which can come into play from your graveyard with a landfall trigger. And if your opponent has 10 or less life, it also has haste. This is really important. Another great card is Gurmag Angler, because you get a lot of cards fast into your graveyard, and then you can easily cast a Gurmag Angler, which he's playing as a 4-of. I personally play this deck too, but I play the more usual split 3 Gurmag Angler and 1 Tassigur, because it's a little bit cheaper and sometimes you can just get it out.
And it's the Banana King. He's the Banana King. You can't go wrong with the Banana King.
No,
right?
you can never go wrong. Then other cool discard effects or disruption in this deck are Collective Brutality, Lightning Bolt, and usually Street Rave is also being played because it's just another cycling effect for if you have Faithless Looting. You draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards, then you cycle Street Rave, and you can already cast your Hollow ones for free. This is more controlled than Burning Inquiry and Goblin Lore. So this is it from the Hollow 1 deck, and I think we should straight go to the match. So both players are shuffling up the deck. On the left you see David playing Hollow 1, and on the right you see Dominic playing Lantern Control. So what do you say, Walter? Who do you think is favored in this matchup?
So generally speaking, game 1, I think that Lantern Control is quite heavily favored because bridge just can't really be beat. Sure, you can get your opponent so low, you can burn him out with lightning bolts and corrective brutalities, but that is not very realistic considering that mostly the Lantern player will also have some lock pieces here. So I think game 1, Lantern can stumble a bit and Hollow One can have some really, really fast starts, but Hollow One kind of needs to not draw in a region around the turn 3 kill or somewhere, which is possible but not that likely. Or the Lantern players to stumble finding the bridge. And post-board, I think that changes. Post-board, I think the matchup is way more even, because there's cards like Ancient Grudge, which is very good, and then also other cards that might work against the Lantern deck here. So Mickey, what has your personal experience been in this matchup? Have you played it from the Hollow One side?
I've never played it from the Hollow One side, but what I do know about Hollow One, and most of the people know about it, it can have really, really fast starts. And as we see here in David's opening hand, he has already a Hollow One, some Graveyard Synergies, and Burning Inquiry, so he can get things started really fast.
And now it's a Blackcliff Cliff on top here, because we already have the Lantern and the Mox open here. Nice start for the Lantern player here. Let's see what he can follow it up with. And right now, just another land on top here, but Burning Inquiry will redistribute hands anyways. And Burning Inquiry, they need to reveal each card because there's Lantern in play. So each card needs to be revealed individually before drawn, because otherwise the Lantern would not be, the Lantern's effect would not happen, and it obviously needs to happen. And now we see the wheels are being spinned.
Sweet.
This is just randomness and randomness.
Yeah, and before I forgot to mention, of course, the Flamewake Phoenix, which can come into play from the graveyard if at the beginning of combat if you control a creature with power 4 or more, which Hollow One is, and Flameblade Adept can
Yeah, now
be.
let's see. Now David's hand.
Oh no!
One Hollow One got discarded, but also Bloodgust and the land. So this is semi-okay for David. He
No,
would
this
love
is
to have this
no.
Hollow One. But at least the other 2 cards he doesn't mind discarding here.
Listen to me, Walter. In this matchup, you really want a fast start with a turn 1 Hollow One, and he doesn't have it. This has been really, really crucial.
Yeah, sure, but now maybe he hits the best cards that Dominic needs here. It's random. We have to see what happens.
Sure, it's
here.
random, but...
Also, maybe he has gotten more Hollow Ones in hand. We don't know.
Ooh, wow, sweet.
I mean, he had a couple of Ancient Stirring, so those are ways to
And
find that Lantern. So we see, because right now, it's all about, is Dominic able to get out a fast bridge? Then he's heavily favored. Otherwise, David might be able to steal a game here, because now we already have a lock piece, and we have 2 lock pieces. Pix is particularly nice against the Hollow One deck because it exiles, it doesn't mill, so the Graveyard Synergy of that Bloodgust becomes irrelevant here.
Yes, you're right on this. But as you see, Lantern Control has already a very developed board, and... Ooh, there's another Hollow One on top, and he's going to draw it with Burning Inquiry.
Nice, and now he has to hope that he's not going to discard this Hollow One or this Gurmag Angler, because if he doesn't, he will be able to play both of those cards and put 9 power on the board right now.
This would be really insane.
Which would be very good.
So we will see how this turns out. By the way, what they've chosen to roll dice on which card are getting discarded.
Yeah.
Another variant of this would be just to let your opponent choose the cards which are getting discarded or which you're going to keep in hand, because it's usually a lot faster and has also been played this way at the Pro Tour.
I mean, you can in a competitive tournament. I understand if people say sure, because sometimes maybe your opponent might have a glimpse of a card or something, and they might somehow be advantaged by being able to choose or something. The dice rolling is very random, but takes up a lot of time in those matches, because Burning Inquiry needs to do it for both players. And now we have this resolved Werf and Wenchen gone. So this is 1 potential bridge less. Unclear if Dominic has another one or a way to get one in hand, but yeah.
Did you see this? He discarded 2 lands, and I think Dominic already missed his second land drop there. So it's really nice from his side.
Yeah, Dominic only has 2 mana, and he can get back the Flamewake Phoenix. He will do that instead of casting the Anger this turn.
No, he cannot get back the Phoenix because he needed his red mana source for burning...
Sure. So he's just gonna cast the Angler instead and can get the Phoenix, which conveniently got left in the graveyard as the last card remaining from the Delve.
No!
Can get it back next turn. But now Bridge and GG.
This is GG, yes.
He's played out his hand, he's naming a fetch land, and now if I were David, I would just
Scoop.
Shuffle it up for the next game. Yeah,
Yes.
because he knows he can't answer the bridge. There's no cards in hand here. There's enough mana sources. He has control over the top. If there's a 3-drop on top and he doesn't draw a third land first, he can just mill it with his hands. So this is all over and gone. First game, like we were talking about before, Mickey, bridge just wins. That happens. So what can David do here post board in terms of improving his matchup against the card ensnaring bridge specifically?
Boarding in artifact removal, like the 2 ancient crutches playing in his sideboard, I think lightning bolts in his main deck are obsolete. He can easily bottom out. Collective Brutality is also not that
No, Collective
great,
Brutality I like because it can tag Whirl of Invention.
Yes, this is the only reason, and I think he doesn't have a lot of cards to board in. He's playing 2 Blood Moon, 2 Ancient Crutch, and some Graveyard in directional, like 1 Nihil Spell Bomb and 3 Surgical Extractions. But I'm not quite sure if I would board him in this matchup.
I really like the synergy between Surgical and Burning Inquiry. I think this is great because your opponent randomly discards a red card maybe as early as your turn 1 and then you get to rip it out of the hand. But yeah, generally speaking, it's a bit of a hit and miss card.
Yeah.
What do you think about Grim Lavamancer as a source that can deal constant damage under an ensnaring bridge even?
Yes, maybe this is a card he should board in this matchup. Maybe it can give the last few points of damage, but you know what? Maybe Dominic is boarding in Leyline of Sanctity. I'm not quite sure about it, but it's a possibility.
But would you board in Leyline against the Hollow One deck where you know that they don't really have a lot of discard that targets you?
Some play a few Thought Seizes off the sideboard.
Yeah,
so
but that's like 2 to 3
really
Thought
sure
Seizes. You wouldn't want to bring it in. But yeah, so
depends on the dead cards he has in his main deck and what he wants to board in. If he has cards which are worse than Leyline of Sanctity, I would board it in. It really depends.
Yeah, so what I think in practice this looks like, so Dominic has a few dead cards. I'm not a big fan of the Abrupt Decay here because it just hits, the only threat it really hits is Flameblade Adept, and so it does basically nothing because it doesn't hit any of the big stuff like Hollow One and the Zombie Fish. You also have the Engineered Explosives, which are not very good in this matchup. You have the Witchbane Orb, which does nothing. The Pirate Spellbomb is probably also not completely necessary. And Pithing Needle does not have a lot of targets here either. It's not very strong in this matchup. It would tag those Grim Lavamancers, but for game 2 I would board them out. So what he has in the side, he has 2 Leyline of Sanctities, but I wouldn't board those in. I like to have Tezzeret, Agent of Boros, as an additional plan to win. This is pretty good because if your bridges get destroyed or something, you can just win the game. Maybe that's an option. Maelstrom Pulse I like just to destroy the big things. Grafdigger's Cage as an addition because it just shuts off all of those Bloodgusts. And Flamewick Phoenixes. What else is there? Surgical Extraction I like because it can just get rid of cards. He just has a one-off. And also Porphyry Nodes. The sweet one-off, the color shifted Drop of Honey. Not quite as expensive because it's not a reserve list card from, I think, where's Drop of Honey from? Arabian Nights or Legends?
I'm not quite sure about this, but I know it's spiked recently.
Yeah, it's one of the 2, so Porphyry Nodes does the same, which means it's an enchantment for 1 mana. White, in this case, the original Drop of Honey was green, and you play it, and then at the beginning of each of your upkeeps, it checks for the creature with the highest converted mana cost, right? Highest converted mana cost, I think.
I'm not really sure
and
about
then
that,
this creature gets sacked, and if there's no more creatures in play, you got to sack the Porphyry Node. So what it does is slow but efficiently just gets rid of one of your opponent's creatures per turn in your deck, and then yeah, it dies. So it's a slow rough but just costs 1 mana. Great against the deck, would bring it in. And yeah, I think Lantern is still favored after boarding. There are some ways that David has, but it's only 2 Ancient Grudges, which is not a lot. Those cards are great. You have the Pyxis. The Pyxis can get rid of the Ancient Grudge permanently because milling it with...
How many is he playing?
He's playing 2 copies of Pyxis of Pandemonium and the 4 Codex Shredders. So the Shredder is not a great answer to it because, yeah, you don't get hit twice by the Abrupt Decay, but you still get hit once through a flashback. And yeah, so that's a crucial card, but generally speaking, maybe we see David on the play has to have a very fast start now, then he can do something here. He has to not discard the first Hollow One to that Burning Inquiry, because then he would have had more pressure on the board early with those 4 dungeons. Let's see what happens, yeah.
Let's see what happens. Both players are drawing their first 7 cards. Oh, what? This was a close call. So we do see a hollow one, 2 hollow ones in his hand. This can be a pretty fast game, but does he have any lands? Does he have any enablers like Faithless Looting, Burning Inquiry, or
I'm not
Goblin
sure if
Lore?
there's a land, but there's Street Waves, and the Lavamancers definitely came in
The
here.
Lavamancers came in. Is this a Faithless Looting or is this an Ancient Grudge?
It's a looting, but
Yes,
the question
why?
is there a land? He's keeping, so there probably is
There
a land.
needs to be a land, but he
Yeah.
also has a Gurmag Angler, so he could have gone for the risky start. Please, no, not the risky start. Oh boy!
Did
no,
he really
no.
keep a 0-lander?
It
What?
might be. I'm not
He also has
really
to tap
sure
his
about
mana,
it.
but he can't keep a 0 on a play. That's would be ridiculous. And now he gets to put out 2 hollow ones.
Oh,
Wow!
sick.
This is the start he needs, because now just having a turn 3 bridge on the draw is not fast enough. You get killed
Yep.
by those hollow ones. They will have dealt 24 damage if they're not interacted with. And there's not many ways, except
You
for
see
that one of
Dominic
Porphyry
laughing.
note, there's not many ways for Dominic to interact on time here. Pirate Spellbomb doesn't do anything, just 1 damage. You can play
Okay.
Lantern, but this is... I really don't
Grim
have an
Lavamans
idea.
on top.
He needs to be able to really get rid of his hand super fast and play turn... He can't play turn 2 bridge and have it do enough, because... I mean, the
Ooh,
hollow one is
Lightning
power
Bolt top.
4, he might be. Lightning Bolt also stayed in, yeah?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting. Maybe he bought out the Collective Brutalities too, and 2 Lightning Bolts. This might be.
Yeah, we see him in the
Slam.
Lavamans is just
He
slamming
had
stuff
one
on the
land in
table.
hand, but it was a black source. and
Yeah,
he needed
yeah,
the red
so
source,
he-
I think, yeah.
Wow, okay, that's... But it worked out well for him here, at least. There is now 10 power, 12 power on the board, counting the Grim Lavamans. 2 power because its activated ability will deal 2 damage to Dominic's face here.
Sweet. So Dominic goes down to 12. Is down to 12 life? Sure, he needs to be down to 12 life.
Yeah. And now Dominic is just sacking
Dead
the
on
lantern
board.
to shuffle here because there's a land on top that will leave him dead on board. No idea what he's looking for here. But right now, yeah, he is actually dead on board. Just straight up dead on board.
Yeah,
Let's
it's-
see if he has any way to interact here. He has a needle for the Lavamans. This is not dead on board this turn, but this is still not really gonna do much.
This is a classic hollow one nut draw. Really insane. Most decks can't handle this, will lose immediately, and it just looks like this.
Yeah, if you don't have like a path to exile as an immediate
Oh,
follow-up.
he's looking in his hand.
So looking at the hand, we saw Grudge came in and the second Lavamans, so both got boarded
Scoops it
in.
up.
And now, yeah, he scoops it up. And he's on the play, so on the play this is a lot better. Even if, but 2 hollow ones turn 1 are still rough. But you can beat this start with just a turn 3 bridge on the play. You're down to 4 life. If you have it, it's still okay.
The last play from Dominic was really a smart play because he did know he's going to lose, but he did all he could in this match, in this game. He looked at his opponent's hand, gathered more information, and then went on to the next game.
Sure, and I mean, he saw 2 additional sideboard cards there while one was already played, the first copy of Grim Lavamans. And there is no information loss here for Dominic. David knows that Inquisition is in the deck. He knows that will stay in the deck post-board because Discard is very, very great against the Hollow One deck because Discard lets you pick apart their enablers. So if they keep a hand with, let's say, 1 Inquiry and 1 Goblin Lore, you have 2 Discard spells here to play, take the Inquiry, take the Goblin Lore. Hollow One
GG's.
players stuck with a few Gurmag Anglers, Hollow Ones, Flamewick Phoenixes in hand, which is rough, and you can win the games. This is a great way to interact with the deck. I like it more than Graveyard Hate. Personally, Graveyard Hate is nice too, but Graveyard Hate interacts with the secondary level of threats, which are Bloodgust and Flamewick Phoenix, while Discard interacts with
And
the
Gurmag
premier
Angler.
threats exactly with that too. But the premier threat Hollow One is best interacted with Discard. Except for
Yes,
like
it's best
Pathways or something.
interactive with this kit, but do not forget the Graveyard, because the Graveyard synergies in his deck are insane and can
Yeah.
put a really
The
fast
deck
outcome as
has
well.
the fast starts with the Hollow Ones and the Anglers, and then has a huge lot of grinding potential if the Graveyard is not dealt with.
Yeah.
With just getting back those Bloodgusts and Flamewick Phoenixes over and over and over.
Actually, myself as a Hollow One player, I've won quite a few times with the Graveyard grind game.
Yeah,
Because
I agree with
everything
that.
else has been handled, Path to Exile and so on, and so I just slowly but steadily reduced my opponent's life total by attacking with 2 1s or 2 2s. Really nice game.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have, I mean, there's not too many cards that block the Phoenix efficiently in Modern as a 2-2
No.
fly. Like, I have Smuggler's Copter in my deck, that's one of the cards that does it. Bloodgust, sure, if you have a Time Warp or something, at least you can block it, but the Phoenix just often just keeps packing away for 2 in the air per turn.
Sure, also the Flameblade Adept, which gets +1/+0 for each card you discard or
Yeah,
cycle.
it's got Menace,
really nice.
that's
You
nice.
get-
Menace is
You
good.
get Menace and you just like put 1, 2, maybe the third in the later game, and then you just, Goblin Lore, nice.
Hit you
Attack
for
lethal.
15 if you
Yes.
have like 3 of them, sure.
Really, really nice deck. Very synergetic and not as random as you might think.
Yeah, I mean, now in this game we saw 2 Holo ones being played without any of the random spells. Game 1 showed that the randomness can also bite you in your own foot, because we saw that Holo 1 being discarded. But right now we're back to game 3 here, and we've got Dominic on the play, and I still believe that he's favored, even more so now that he's on the play. We see the Werf Invention, so he already has access to that bridge. So all he needs to do right now is buy enough time to get there, and let's see what happens. He has the Lantern out now, but the thing is the Lantern game is not as great here because there's a lot of
sweet.
cards drawn, and yeah, he's gonna draw a Holo one for the turn. And there is a
Oh,
Burning
boy.
Inquiry on top.
What is he
Maybe he
going
has
to
another
do?
one in hand, but he
Oh,
starts.
no.
Ooh, yeah, he has
Ooh,
another
yeah.
street to get the Inquiry this turn. If he just has one red land now, which he probably has, this is already very likely to produce at least one copy of Holo One.
Yeah, really very likely because he got a lot of cards in his hand.
And he's gonna, but no, it's even better. It's not very likely. Make that 100% certain. Fatal's Looting means there will be at least one Holo One, not more, I think, here, but still a turn 1 Holo One, good start.
So
here
what
for
do you
him.
know by the top card of David's Library is not being revealed because he has to discard first with Faithless Looting, or?
The top card should still be revealed because the draws are separate in the looting. So that's what's happening. So yeah,
Okay.
so during the resolution you draw a card, and then you discard. So the top card should be revealed at all times here. And now we see that one Holo One, and here another War of Invention. We see if we can get out enough artifacts. We see the Pixis here. Pixis is okay. Pixis can get rid of some of the annoying cards that are still on top, can get rid of future Ancient Grudges, can also get rid of this Lavamancer if Dominic feels threatened in his life total by that threat that can deal
Sure,
non-combat
but
damage.
next turn Ensnaring Bridge is still not very likely. And now he has a chance to get rid of all the Worth Inventions.
We'll see if that happens, but Ensnaring Bridge turn 4 might just be good enough here if there is not another Holo One or a Gurmag Egg.
No.
Even then it might still be good enough.
Yes, but there's still Ancient Grudges in his deck.
Sure,
So we'll
sure,
see.
but Pixis is quite good at handling those. And now here we need to have...
One. Okay, the second card, and now the third card. Okay, a little bit over the top. So,
we still should have those top cards, I think.
so
We
what
will
is he
right
going
now,
to
yeah.
discard? Oh, okay. One there, another one there, and the last one. So which
Which
card?
side did we start counting from?
Yeah, which side? Okay, they decided which was the correct side. We
So, one worker discarded. The Maelstrom Pulse came in like I predicted, and the land. So that looks pretty good because that means second worst did here. Flameblade added on top here for David, while an Ancient Stirrings is on top here, which can't currently be cast
no.
unless there is another green source, which there is in Aspire of Industry. And now we see everybody's favorite Zombie Fish coming down, trying to pack away at the Lantern Play is life total here, but the thing is Lantern Play should be at 16 now, Holo 1 attack, so that's 9 damage on the board,
Yes.
which means it's still a 2-turn clock. There is also that Lavamancer, which will be put on the board now, because I don't think it got discarded, or...
No, he cannot be put on the board now. It didn't get discarded, but he needed one for Burning Inquiry. And, Gurmag Angler.
Okay, sure. So the land for Gurmag Angler just got tapped a little bit after the Gurmag Angler and entered the battlefield. But now we have Inquisition of Kozilek here, trying to see
he has
what
an
he
Ancient
still has.
Grudge in hand. Oh, he now should get the Worth Invention. He really should get the Worth Invention now with the Surgical, because
If he get,
he needs to do that right now. It's
the
a really smart
question
play.
is, how good is this play on the average? You know that he's got another Were in hand. I'm not sure if it's the right play to know here without having information that the opponent has the second Were in hand here.
I'm not quite sure if he knows about the first Worth Invention, but
No, he
knows
didn't.
for the second one.
The first was in the starting hand. He knew that one got drawn and one got discarded. So according to his information, there is not a known other Were here in hand. I'm not sure if this is the right play here. And he's not even taking the surgical here. which is kind of smart, because if your consideration here is if the were didn't got surgically now, why would he surgically the were at a later point in time before you get to cast it on the following turn?
Look, I think Pithing Needle stayed in. Yes, and he's going to
Yeah,
take
Pithing Needle stayed in, especially. We already saw it staying in game 2, and then if you remember, Dominic saw Lavamancer's there, so obviously it stays in for game 3, and there's another bridge on top.
Now I would really cast... Okay, Surgical Extraction. Because you know what? He needs to shuffle away this Ensnaring Bridge, and he's getting rid of the Whir of Invention. This is a great deal.
He's gonna do it now, yeah.
Yeah, he needs to do it.
And
so.
this is rough here for Dominic now, because there is still an Ancient Grudge in the graveyard then, which was in the starting hand. This looks great for David here, actually.
He currently can't cast it. He cannot cast the Ancient
He currently
Grudge.
can't cast it, sure, but if he draws another fetch land, which obviously we have Dominic here having that Pixies, which he can try to use to get
But he needs
David
to take
to
every
not
fetch
draw
land.
any fetch lands exactly here.
But just for your information, Dominic dropped down to 7 life, I guess, yes. He should be at 7 life right now.
He should be at 7 life, this is correct. He took 9 damage on the board here, and we also saw that Flame Blade end up getting played now. And here, we really, really need Dominic to draw another thing right now. Another thing means there is not many options, actually.
Nope.
There is the bridge, and pretty
Whir
much...
of Invention.
Yeah,
He
that's
needs
it,
to draw a
because the
bridge
Pirates
where-
already got discarded,
or-
which could buy him time.
Another Ancient Stirrings.
Ancient Stones.
Oh, no. Come on.
But there is the Ancient Grudge. So now
So
all he has to do
unlucky.
is play that bridge and make sure that there is no green mana source being drawn by David for the rest of the game. Because otherwise he loses. Unless Welding Just came in, which I don't think this is the matchup for them, because there's not so many destruction effects.
So no cards in hand from Dominic's side here.
Exactly, so
David
no
cannot
attack possible.
Is he going to cycle there? Yeah.
Yeah, he's
allowed
gonna
to
cycle it because there's no point. The Lavamancer is shut off, it can't
And
attack,
he-
it can't
Note
activate.
This is,
This is Black
Blackleaf
Glyph Glyphs. Dominic will happily let David draw all the Black Glyph Glyphs
Why
that
is
are
he
left in
doing
his
this?
deck. Why is he cycling now?
Yes, why is he cycling
This
now?
is rough, exactly, because he needs to be able to cycle at instant speed, because right now, see, now this gets exiled here, and now obviously he still has the Lantern Shuffle if there's another one on top, but Phoenix
Sure,
is
but I wouldn't
completely
have
relevant.
cycled here because
No,
it's
yeah, I agree with
really,
you, I agree
really
with you.
important to have this instant card draw in hand.
Yeah, instant card draw is great, not as good as having the chromatic, whichever one it is, where it's part of the resolution, because that completely shuts down Lantern from the Tron side, but any instant speed card from even instant speed shuffle effects are both
So,
great because
GG's.
they let you play around it.
GG's.
Yeah.
This is the game. We already saw in Lattice Net.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Now there's
Ensnaring
Graph
Bridge.
Digger's Cage, so what needs to happen now is that somehow
No.
David draws the second Ancient Grudge, which is not going to happen
This
through
is
the
not
Pixies.
going
Yeah.
to happen. This will never happen. This is GG's. He needed to leave the Street Wave in his hand.
The game still probably would have been over, but at least that
Yeah,
would
they-
have
you know
given
what?
him a better shot at fighting.
It would have given him a better shot at fighting, but you know why the game would have still been over?
The game would have still been over because there were just too many interactive pieces
no,
out from
you
Dominic's
just-
side.
Yeah, okay, fine. This. But,
Also, he
but
still could have used the Lantern to crack it and shuffle
yes,
the
he could have
library.
used the Lantern to crack it, but he already saw a second Ensnaring Bridge.
Oh, yeah.
So
We also, what's interesting, we also see that Nature's Claim got brought in, which we forgot to talk about. It's great because it's just a 1-mana answer to the card Hollow One.
yeah,
Which
really
is
nice.
Awesome. I
And-
missed that in the tech and in the sideboarding. But yeah, this is great. And now we see here this Stomping Ground being held up and held up and held up. Not sure what's going to happen to the Stomping Ground. Is he going to let him have it?
Sure, I
it's
would
gonna
let him have it.
on the... Yeah, because it's not going to do much anymore with the Graph Digger's Cage in play. But yeah, it
Does
really doesn't really
give
matter
me a
what's
moment.
happening.
Does Dominic have one card in hand?
Dominic does not have a card in hand.
No, he does not have a card in hand.
No.
Okay, so
No card in hand, no.
okay.
So
We
now
see
we're
David
just...
looking at his deck. He's thinking.
Yeah, he's looking at his deck while he's fetching, is just checking do I have any other outs, and apparently he says, yeah, sure, I might have some outs or some long shots. So he's not conceding yet. Remember, this is game 3. Generally, game 1, just discard if you can't win. That means if there are 2 lock pieces on the board and you don't have your opponent down to really low life totals, and even then probably just scoop it up. If there's a bridge in play and you cannot win with the card ensnaring bridge in play, just scoop it up. But in game 3, I understand if there's at least a 1% chance of something that you just keep playing, even if it's highly, highly unlikely. There's another Ancient Grudge on top.
GG's.
And now,
This is the second Ancient Grudge.
Ancient Grudge.
He
This
can
is
concede.
gone. There is just literally nothing now.
No,
left
nothing he can do.
And now, actually winning the game for the Lantern player just either involves Pirate Spellbomb loops, or you just find a Codex Shredder and mill your opponent a little bit faster than you could mill yourself. And that's it. None of that is fast, none of that is fun, but it works, and the deck is just dedicated to locking your opponent out.
So, what are we going to see in...
We're just seeing like some Mishra's Baubles being cycled, cards are being drawn and played.
Ooh,
There's a
sweet.
Codex Shredder now, which will completely lock it up.
I mean, you're right. It will become... It is a completely locked up game because David is playing 2 Ancient Grudges in his sideboard. He brought 2 of them in. They're... they're...
One
there's no
stuck in
solution
the
there.
graveyard and can't be used from there, and one is under the Pixels of Pandemonium, which means they're both
Sadly.
gone.
So we just have to wait a little bit. Till,
Yeah, I mean, we
the Lantern
can't
Control player
really
finishes the
give
game.
you the most interesting commentary on
No.
this game. Here, it's just I will use Codex Shredder, I will use Pixies, you will go down to 0 cards in the library. At some point, the second Codex Shredder will make this a bit faster.
Second Codex Shredder.
Second Codex
Sweet.
Shredder is on top of the library
So
right
3
now.
mill effects in play.
So,
Nice.
yeah.
2 mill effects and 1 exile effect.
Yeah, sure, but it still gets rid of cards on top of David's
The
library.
waiting game is the best game.
So David is like, he's surgicling himself on his Ancient Grudge.
Okay, what is he looking for? He's looking for lightning bolts.
Maybe
but-
he's looking if there's still, but yeah, the life total is not correct here. It should be 7, like we said.
Yes.
This is not something where you can get there with lightning
now they
bolts. Now they
recognize that.
notice it is 7, and it's 5 actually. Okay, so 5 changes is better than 7 because that means 2 lightning bolt
Spire
effectors
Blast,
is never going to
maybe.
take. Maybe Spire of Industry probably got used.
Spire
here.
of Industry.
Spire of Canal is the blue-red fastland, but Spire of Industry here, which also made the deck a lot better, and here David is
GG's,
finally scooping it
good
up. He does
games.
not want to wait to see his whole library being
No,
cleared up. He's
why
looking at
would
his deck
he?
and he's like, yeah, Lava Man, so you had Needle. He's like, yeah, here the Lantern player just had all the answers, and this match ended like it probably ends most of the time. And that is with the win of the Lantern player.
Yes. Nah, I'm not really sure if this happens most of the time, but I do see why Lantern is favored in this matchup. But if you just put 1 more Ancient Grudge into your sideboard, maybe you can have the little edge you need in this matchup.
Yeah, 3 Ancient Grudges are nice, but you also need to have some other sideboard cards that do something. Like even just having your own Thought Seizes might be able to just get rid of that 1 bridge of worry in your opponent's hand, and then just have this 1 extra turn. You need to kill your opponent before they get a bridge down. So that might be something. If you're looking to improve your matchup here from the Hollow One player side, having Thought Seizes in your sideboard is an option. 2 Thought Seizes might be good, and 3 Ancient Grudges giving you 5 sideboard cards. We saw only 2 effective sideboard cards. Lavamancer is a nice option, but it takes a lot of time to finish the game by itself. It's good to get the last points of damage in. Forces your opponents to have Pithing Needles in. It's okay. It's not great. I would still, if you have it for other matchups, I'd board it in here too.
So
Yeah.
what you just saw right there on the screen was they were talking about the interaction with Street Wraith and the mill card, which was in play, the exile card, which was in play. Sorry, I'm not sure.
Pixies of Pandemonium.
Pixies of Pandemonium.
From Theros block.
So most likely Dominic told David why he didn't wait on this Street Wave so he could draw the green source.
Yeah.
So this was most likely happened. So we do see what got sideboarded out and what got brought in here.
Yeah, we see the
from
Surgicals
Holowan.
all got boarded in, the
And,
Grudges, the Lavamancers, and we see what got boarded out, a mixture of creatures here, or is that what got boarded out?
A
Those
mixture
are
of
random
creatures.
cards
Ju-
in the
Just
deck. Okay, yeah.
maybe a mixture of creatures got boarded out because I saw all 4 lightning bolts. I think I saw all the collective brutalities. But I'm not really sure if I would have brought out a mixture of these creatures because they generate you a fast start, which you need in this matchup.
Yeah, lightning bolt is generally only good if like your opponent is on 3 life and then there's
Yes,
the bridge
for
down.
the
And
last
I
damage.
don't think this is happening in that many games.
I would leave in some of them, but I think I would not leave a blazer of them in my
I
deck
would
because I
more-
would rather have disruption or Fretch, which can hit more than once.
Exactly, having repeatable sources of damage, you need to get those down on the first 2 turns, and then you need to hope. And this is why I also like the Thought Scissors here. But yeah, generally speaking, Lantern, just you need to have ways to deal with the card Ensnaring Bridge, otherwise you will just lose to Lantern control because the deck in its current build is very consistent at getting out of Lantern, at least on turn 4.
Yes, Walter. So thank you for watching the first video of new Big First and Night Modern series. If you have any suggestions, comment below. If you like the video, click like, thumbs up. And if you don't like it, thumbs down. Comment what we can make better, and have a nice day. And subscribe if you like the channel. See ya!
See ya!